We have minutes from the previous meeting. May I have a recommendation to approve them?
Motion to approve.
Thank you very much. Is there any changes to the agenda?
Not to my knowledge, Madam Chair.
Thank you very much. I have no, well, I do have recognition for IT and GIS certification accomplishments. Mr. Blanchard.
Yes, ma'am, I'll gladly take that. I have two employees here today, Julianne Hartman and Todd Andrews, who recently received their Local Government Chief Information Officer
Where are they?
certification.
Are they
Stand up.
Congratulations. Thank you.
These certifications are received through classwork that they have to do and then a paper that they have to submit. Basically, the classwork involves different things that a local government chief information officer would have to deal with. So the things that I work with on a regular basis, and given their duties, the things that they're already doing day in and day out. So it's wonderful for them to get some recognition. I did want to mention the papers that they did as part of their certification process. Julianne did a project paper that described the implementation of a new, innovative, and streamlined means of adding new parcels to the county's parcel geodatabase layer. Basically, she tore that old process down and rebuilt it so that it's much more efficient and streamlined. So that's going to save countless hours of staff time. And when I say countless, I do mean that, because it's now forward that we're going from a multi-week process down to a matter of, at least on our part, a few hours.
That's fantastic.
Right. And then Todd's paper was about the implementation of Microsoft Teams for the county. Heard me talk about Teams before, and Todd was instrumental, he and his team, in bringing that on board as a tool for the county, and likewise, that's saving time and providing us with capabilities that we didn't before.
And you read their papers? Did you?
I did read their papers.
Did you
yes,
grade them? Did you
I
give
did.
pointers?
I didn't grade them, but they were, both of them did a great job on it.
That's fantastic. Congratulations to y'all. Thank you for all your hard work and doing extra things to make the department better. That's wonderful. Let's see, where are we at? Consent agenda. I have nothing on consent. Moving directly into debate. Mr. Johnson, what do you have for us today?
First item we have for your consideration is the Nulla Bona report. This is our tax commissioner, Mr. Bridges, has this report. You see it in front of you. I don't know if there's any specifics, Mr. Bridges, you want to point out or anything?
This is about the same amount as last year, maybe a little less.
Yeah, I think it's a little less than it was last year. We've been through the report. We're fine with it. Obviously, Mr. Bridges has the authority to present this, and the Board of Commissioners has the authority to take action on it.
Move to consent.
So moved. Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Bridges. Next.
Next item for your consideration is the appointment of Vivian Ann Cushman, which is to be the chairperson of the Board of Elections. As you know, House Bill 730 states that the Board of Commissioners shall appoint a person to the Board of Elections. That person shall serve as the chair. Ms. Ann Cushman is currently the chair, and I think it's the desire of this body to allow her to continue to serve in that capacity. This would be an appointment for 4 years. Staff recommends approval.
Move to consent.
So moved. Thank you. Next.
Next item is extension of State Properties Commission agreement for the Department of Driver Services. This is our lease agreement with State Properties to allow them to have the driver services in Columbia County. The annual rental rate, as you see, is negligible. It's $1 per year. This is beginning on July 1st, 2023 and ending on June 30, 2024. We pay this rent to allow for that, I guess, that extra service for our citizens in Columbia County. So staff recommends approval of the extension of the agreement with the Properties Commission for Driver Services.
So we pay the rent to the landlord and then sublease it to them, and that's a service, because without that,
They would have to
They're
go somewhere else. I think the next closest one would either be Thompson or out on Highway 56.
Move to consent.
so moved. Thank you. Next.
Next one is the extension of the State Properties Commission agreement with the Department of Community Supervision. This is probation. As you know, they are in our judicial annex over there. This is similar. It's an annual rental rate of $10 for the Department of Community Supervision. We do this, again, as a service to our citizens to be able to have them housed with the rest of our judicial and legal folks over there. This is the same period, July 1st, 2023 through June 30, 2024, and staff recommends approving the extension of the agreement.
How do you decide whether it's $1 or $10?
Lawyers put those numbers in there.
Any legal matters?
I don't think we ever get either. I don't think we
Well,
get the
actually,
10 or the 1. I think it's a placeholder for nothing.
All right, very good.
Move to consent.
So move next.
The next one actually has a number tied to it. This is the extension of the State Property Commission Agreement for the Department of Family and Children Services. They have stated their desire to extend their lease agreement again for 12 months, beginning July 1st, 2023, ending June 30, 2024. The monthly rental rate on this one is $8,128.22. All the other terms of the agreement will remain the same. As you know, I believe you know, we have made significant improvements to the Department of Family and Children Services. We've done significant upgrades to that building. I think they are pleased with all the things that we've done out there. Our maintenance team and all of our facilities team has done a great job of making that building much nicer. But staff recommends approval of extension of the agreement with, again, State Properties for DFACS.
Move to consent.
Thank you, so moved. Next.
Next one you have is the independent contractor agreement with Renforce. This is for the accountability court. This is a request from Judge Blanchard, our chief judge. The current contract expires June 30, 2023. We're recommending entering into the agreement with Renforce for 1 year, beginning July 1st, 2023, ending June 30, 2024. And the rate for this is $1,000 per month. Staff recommends approval.
Was it $1,000 a month this past year? Going up, or is it the same?
It's the same. It's the same.
And is this in Judge Blanchard's budget already?
Yes.
Good.
Move to consent.
So move next.
The next one we have is acceptance of the Judicial Council of Georgia ARPA funding. This is for the cycle 2 of the ARPA funding. As you know, the courts have the ability to enter into ARPA funding independent of the Board of Commissioners. Although anytime they do that, we request that it does come before this body for approval. The Columbia Judicial Circuit has been awarded funding in the amount of $353,000. This is for audiovisual equipment modernization.
Scott, take a deep breath.
I'm good.
You're okay.
I'm trying to get through this. I have other things I need to do. But staff recommends the acceptance of the additional ARPA funding in the amount of $353,000 and authorize the chairman to sign the necessary documents.
Move to consent.
So move next.
All right, the next one is the CJCC Accountability Courts Grant. This is another one. The Judicial Circuit has been awarded a grant from CJCC. This is the adult felony drug court that we have here in Columbia County. The grant provides funding for personnel treatment, services, and other operational costs. You'll see the grant period is from July 1st, 2023 to June 30, 2024. The grant award is $292,767, and then there are matching funds which are paid by way of participant fees of $39,923. So the total funding is $332,690. Staff recommends acceptance of the grant and the authorization for the chairman to execute the necessary documents.
Move to consent.
So move next.
Next one is the independent contractor agreement with Tanya Jeffords to serve as the Accountability Court Defense Counsel. Again, this is part of the process that has to be in place to be able to have the accountability court. We currently have an agreement with Tanya Jeffords. I believe we already have an agreement with her. At any rate, what we're asking for is that we go into this 1 year term beginning July 1st, 2023 and end June 30, 2024. We do have it because it's the same rate of $1,450 per month or $17,400 per year. Again, this is an independent contractor. This is not a county employee. So we don't have any of those costs. Staff recommends entering to the new agreement with Tanya Jeffords at the rate of $1,450 per month for 1 year, beginning July 1st, 2023, ending June 30, 2024.
And this is already in the budget.
Yes, all of these are budgeted items.
Move to consent.
So move next.
Next item you have is resolution number 23-30. This is the appointment of the initial board of directors for the Hospital Authority of Columbia County. As you know, in February, the board passed a resolution to activate the Hospital Authority. This resolution provides the initial board of directors and sets up their initial terms. Staff recommends the approval of the resolution and the appointment of the initial board of directors for the Hospital Authority of Columbia County. You can see the length of the initial term corresponds with the terms of the commissioners appointing each of the Hospital Authority members, so we could stagger those terms. Staff recommends approval of this resolution.
Move to consent.
Does it need to go to debate?
It does not have to. It can go to consent if you like, but it could go to debate if you want.
Move to consent, so moved. Thank you.
Okay, I
Next.
think
Is that it for you?
I'm caught up for now.
Colonel Kennedy, what do you have for us today?
Yes, ma'am. This next item is a contract with Fouts Brothers for the purchase of a 3,000-gallon water tanker.
You knew Doug wouldn't be here today, so you could buy a truck without him questioning.
Yeah, the last one was in a wreck.
It was not in a.
It was not. But if it needs to be, it can be. In any event, this was on the 17 to 22 SPLOST, and we were in the process of developing specifications when one of our fire chiefs discovered that the Fouts brothers were in the process of building a 3,000-gallon water tanker that was similar to the specs that we were looking for. The organization they built it for, or were building it for, lost their funding, so this went up for grabs. So rather than taking 2 years, we can have this one at the end of June and still save an additional $100,000. So it's a good
End of
deal.
June is next week.
Well,
Steve said, yeah.
close enough.
So it'll be delivered really soon.
The end of the month.
Yeah, it's ready. So once you approve this and we pay for it, we can pretty much get it.
But this is the whole truck. This is not just the tank or just the chassis. This
The-
is the whole truck.
This is the apparatus,
Good,
entire apparatus.
good. Will you let me drive it once it gets here? Can I test
Let
it
you
out?
drive the old one.
The one that's already wrecked.
That trust you on that. Move to consent.
So moved. Thank you. Anything else for you, Mr. Kennedy?
I believe that's enough for me, ma'am.
All right. Ms. Reese, what do you have for me today?
The only item I have for you today is our insurance renewal with ACCG for our property and liability coverage. And as with everything else, the insurance industry is seeing increases. So unfortunately, our contribution is increasing by 25% this year. Their average increase is 30%. As you know, we're part of a risk pool with many other counties. So we still feel like this is the most affordable way to receive our coverage. On top of the increase, they are also suspending the dividend credits that we have received in the past. So we're not getting that. We are still getting the safety discount credit of $33,737. So our overall contribution is $755,586. I figured you might want to know what it was last year. Last year, it was $538,753. So it's a pretty good increase, but
It could have been a lot worse.
yes. And, you know, this time last year, we did go out and try to get quotes from other actual private companies, and nobody even wanted to talk to us.
If anybody will talk to you, they're not going to beat the ACC
right.
numbers, so.
So staff does recommend approval of this renewal for July 1, 2023 through June 30, 2020.
Mr. Johnson, what does this do to the budget?
I think we're fine budget-wise to be able to take care of this. I think it's important to note that there were some counties that ACCG completely dropped, and they don't have any opportunity for insurance right now. So
Because
Work-
of safety issues or,
I think it was safety issues. It might have been stop loss. It could have been other things. But I know just talking to other county managers, that this is a big topic right now. Insurance in and of itself is a big topic in the state. And I still think we're getting a value for what we're getting here. I think our risk team does a great job of mitigating our risk and keeping these costs down. We can cover this amount in the budget, so we're fine with it.
and being that we're in a pool with other similar counties, while it sounds very painful that some of these counties got dropped, it also means they're dropping them for a reason, and you're getting, the more risky entities are getting out of the pool, which helps
Helps
those of us who are left.
Yep.
So we're in a very good position, and thank you to staff who keeps us on the up and up, so this doesn't happen to us. Man, thank you for doing all the research to get it where it is. Sir?
Move to consent.
So moved. That was the only item
That
for
was
you
it.
today? All right, moving down to technology services. Mr. Blanchard.
Yes, ma'am, I have a few items for your consideration
A
today.
few, there's like 10 things on here.
Well, they're renewals, so my hands are tied, ma'am.
Hey, all right, how much are we gonna spend today? Here we go.
A minimal amount.
All right, all right.
First item I've got for your consideration is a renewal with the contract that we have with Scanning America. That's the company that was approved by the County Commission in 2019 to serve as our scanning services vendor. They've scanned thousands and thousands of documents for us from multiple departments. We're satisfied with their work. And since their original contract, 2-year contract terminated, but we're eligible for 4 one-year renewals. This is the third of those renewals. Staff's recommending approval.
Move to consent.
And you feel like they're doing a really, really good job?
Yes, ma'am.
So when they're scanning that kind of volume of stuff, what file names are they giving the archive? Is it just this box has a number on it and it's kind of archived that way, or?
The names of the individual files are somewhat nonsensical, but what we do is we provide them with index information. So each one of those file names has an index so that you know what project it's for, or if there's a particular address or a parcel number or something like that that goes along with it. So staff has the ability to do essentially like a Google search for anything that has 630 Ronald Reagan Drive on it, and it will pull back the documents that match that.
That's a lot. And then the storage for all of this data comes back onto our servers, or we have cloud service?
In a manner of speaking, we put that in the cloud so that that volume doesn't impact our operations here on our network.
Very good. Will we be done with the lion's share of all the scanning that the big project? We got one more renewal on this. Will we be done?
It'll be some time before we're done. I need to have additional conversations with the county clerk on what she wants to do with some of those. And she and I, we've talked a little bit in the past about different documents because you have to keep certain documents for certain amounts of time. The things that we're scanning are those that are eligible to be destroyed or they're being scanned in order for reasons of staff efficiency. If you can get it online in 1 minute or 5 minutes or even 10 minutes, it beats a whole day of walking around in procurement trying to dig through boxes to find something.
That makes sense. All right, very good. I apologize, went down a rabbit hole. You ready?
Yeah.
So moved. Next.
All right, next item I have for your consideration is renewal of our agreement with Mainline Information Systems. We've had this agreement with Mainline since 2020. They were a vendor that was selected for data center equipment and services. In essence, they provide support for our IBM equipment. The original agreement commenced in 2020, terminated in 2022 with 3 one-year renewals. So this is the second of those one-year renewals. There's not a fixed price that's tied to this renewal. Kind of like Scanning America, if we need a new piece of equipment that has to do with our IBM storage or data center work, then this puts them on retainer so that we reach out to them. Staff recommends approval.
So there's no upfront cost.
No, ma'am.
Move to consent.
So moved. Next.
All right, next item I have is a renewal of our agreement with Layer 3 Communications for managed security services. Managed security services is it's something that's relatively new. It's companies that provide what is, in this day and age, a critical backup for your security operations. So what Layer 3 provides for us is another set of eyes that's monitoring 24/7, 365 to see what threats are attacking our network. So it provides our security staff with great backup. They've been doing a fine job. This is the third of 4 possible renewals with Layer 3. Funds for this have been budgeted as part of IT's operating budget for next year, and staff recommends approval.
Move to consent.
So moved. Next.
Next item is renewal of the agreement with A3 Communications for Genetec Video Management System support. I've got 2 similar agenda items coming up because when we released the RFP for Genetec support, we wanted to make sure that we had 2 in case there was a problem with one. We wanted to have a go-to as a backup. So I'll talk more about another company, NetPlanner, right after this. But essentially, those companies are providing the same service. We have hundreds of cameras countywide, and they operate through our Genetec video management system. A3 provides support for that system. And also new projects as they come up, we have the ability to work with them or with NetPlanner to see who we want to do to implement. The original agreement was approved by the commission in 2021. That original contract period is done, and so we're going to recommend renewal. It's the first of 4 possible renewals of this agreement. Staff recommends renewal, approval.
Move to consent.
So moved. Next.
Next item is with NetPlanner Systems. As I alluded to earlier, it's the same situation there. They provide backup or they provide support for our Genetec video management system. The original agreement, then the commission approved those at the same time. So that was approved in 2021. It's reached the end of its contract period. This is the first of 4 renewals of this agreement, and staff is recommending renewal.
So this is on the same renewal cycle as previous.
Yes, ma'am. When we released the agenda or the RFP for a Genetec service provider, we had it in mind to get 2. So we didn't. They both responded to that RFP. They were ranked 1 and 2. We contracted with both. The commission approved both on the same day, so they're in that same cycle.
So the cost of the NetPlanner one, what?
There's no cost for NetPlanner. The only cost we have is for any projects that we do, similar to what we do with Scanning America. If we need some work, we can work with them to get purchase the cameras and do the implementation. But any of the licensing and maintenance and things like that, we pay through our Genetec license agreement.
Move to consent.
So moved. Next.
Next item is a renewal of agreement with Fred Daniel Mapping Services. A few minutes ago, I mentioned the work that Julianne had done in order to get her LGCIO certificate. Fred Daniel is the company that we use for those outside services that she worked with in order to implement all the streamlining activities. Fred Daniel, excuse me, the 2-year agreement was terminated on June 30th, 2021, with 4 1-year renewals. So this is the third of 4 possible renewals of that agreement. The GIS department has budgeted for the 2023-2024 invoice for that, and they won't invoice until after the beginning of the next fiscal year. Staff recommends approval.
Move to consent.
So moved. Next.
We have renewal of agreement with Dell for equipment and services. We've talked a lot about life cycling when I've been up here in the past. Dell is the company that we work with for our PCs, mainly PC and desktop type equipment. The original agreement with Dell was approved by the commission on November 19th of 2019. It's reached its next renewal period. This will be the third of 4 possible renewals. Again, there's not a fixed price tied to this renewal. However, IT has budgeted to cover the replacement cost, the life cycling of all the equipment that we would purchase from Dell for next year. Staff recommends approval.
Move to consent.
So moved. Next.
Highlighter Cable Services. The renewal of this one, and you've already heard a little bit about Highlighter today. They're the company that Broadband works with to perform all of our construction work. So when the backhoes come out to feed at 4:30 on Friday afternoon, usually, and tear up our fiber, Highlighter is the company that responds in order to, they bring the equipment that will attempt to effect a repair on that fiber. Excuse me. They'll do the construction work, and then our splicers will go in behind them and do the work to bring the customers back online. So as you can see, Highlighter has had some extra work to do during this contract period because of the propensity of folks to dig up our fiber. The original agreement with them commenced in 2021. It terminates on June 30th of this year, and it has 3 possible 1-year renewals. So this is the first of the possible 3-year renewals with Highlighter. Again, there's no fixed amount on this agreement. As we have construction projects come up, they'll be commissioned to execute those jobs and be paid according to what the job requires. Staff recommends approval.
This is in your budget. So.
It is in Broadband's budget, yes, sir.
Yep. Move to consent.
So moved. Next.
We've got a renewal with Wolpert for CityWorks-related hardware and software services. You've heard me talk about CityWorks before. We've been using it since 2011 in many different departments to do work order and asset management. In 2020, the County Commission approved an agreement with Woolpert to provide support and technical assistance with our CityWorks-related hardware and software environments. So that agreement that was approved has reached its third renewal period. We have one additional one-year renewal term remaining. We're very satisfied with the work that they've provided. GIS has budgeted $50,000 in next year's operating budget to accommodate services from Woolpert. Staff recommends approval.
Move to consent.
So moved. I do have a question. If this will be your last year with them, do you anticipate renewing or doing a new contract with them at the end of this, or are you gonna bid it out?
We'll have to bid it out.
Okay, one more.
One more, yes, ma'am. This is an agreement with Georgia DOT for camera locations. Back in December of 2022, the commission approved an agreement with CellPlan for implementing the automated license plate reader cameras. When we presented it at that time, I believe we had, there's 92 cameras overall that we want to implement countywide. Many of those that are going to go in the Georgia DOT right-of-way. We have some that are just on county roads, but for the most part, they're in the Georgia DOT right-of-way, and we have to get permits for those and sign agreements with GDOT in order to get permission to use the right-of-way. So this agenda item includes the right-of-way maintenance agreement, which authorizes the county to perform our project and gives us the responsibility to maintain the equipment that is put in the right-of-way. That requires a signature of the chairman. And then there's also an indemnity agreement that holds GDOT harmless from any claims that may arise from these activities that are authorized by the LPR permit. And this one also requires a signature of the chairman. And finally, we also have to provide them for a formal application, which is to be signed by the Chief Law Enforcement Officer, which of course is the sheriff. Staff recommends approval.
Move to consent.
So moved. Thank you. Any other items?
No, ma'am, that's plenty.
That was plenty. That was plenty. Is there any other items from staff for us to vote on? All right, let's move into staff reports.
First item, just for your information, is our fiscal year personnel savings. You'll see that we've almost exceeded our goal by $1 million. This isn't always a great thing because we're low on staffing, but we're also continuing to save money by reviewing these positions and having hiring delays and restructuring and those sort of things. So, at the end of the year, this is $1 million in real money that we'll be able to roll into fund balance. And, as tough as it is to get people, I'd like to compliment our staff on keeping things going when we're short on personnel. But any questions about that, I'll be happy to answer those. You see our turnover rate as well, which is not that bad.
All right, thank you. Next.
The next item for your review, year-to-date budget report. This is for the month ended May 31st. It's hard to believe we're almost done with this fiscal year again. We should be performing around 92%, and everyone is currently performing as they should be.
Very good. Thank you. Next.
The next item is the sales tax update. This is for the month of April. That check was just over $2.8 million, which is 7% less than last month, and it's actually less than last April by 2.4%. But we know this Masters week was pretty rainy, and I just think that sales weren't as great as they usually are. And collections for the last 12 months have been at an annualized percentage increase of 6.04%.
Thank you. Next.
Final report is the investment report for your information.
Commissioner Skinner, any questions on the investments?
No questions. Rates going the right way, aren't they?
I will note that that was something the committee discussed last time. We have been working with our local banks that we have deposits, and they have all adjusted their rates, so the rates are looking much better.
I don't have any questions on that. Thank you, Ms. Reese. Is there anything else from your
That's it.
department? Very good. Any commissioner, public comment? Seeing none, I have no items for executive session, and we will adjourn and come back in
As soon as we turn over the.
as we turn over the names. Thank you.